All right, welcome to the 10 Away podcast. I'm Owen, and this is Blake. My experiment finally worked. No, I'm solo this week. Blake has a pretty busy week, and it just wasn't timing out well. So we decided to try this out. We've been kind of talking about it for a minute, trying a solo record if something like this happens, or if life is just a bit too busy. My goodness, Lucy. Um, oh, you got eye boogers. Anyways, yeah, solo this week. I got Lucy here with me. I'm gonna hold her as long as I can. She's 75 pounds, so it's gonna be a bit of a strain at times. She also just likes to lean over. She likes to be in the frame. She doesn't like to be the frame, is how we would say in the biz. It's not something we say at all. Anyways, um, yeah, kind of spur of the moment in a way, but I wanted to. We were gonna probably do this at one point, but I'm gonna do it myself. And I want to talk about the F1 movie. One background we don't really talk about much is mine. It's because I don't work in NASCAR. I'm just a NASCAR fan from a NASCAR family. And but I live in LA. I came out here to work in film. My ultimate goal is to have a career in this. And so as that continues, I started this up because it's hard to talk about NASCAR in Los Angeles with somebody. So that's kind of like the origin story of Chinaway in a way. But I don't know. I'm kind of doing that to establish credibility to talk about the F1 movie just from a fan perspective and also a bit of a film perspective in a way. But I'll start by talking. Okay, Lucy, we're down. Okay, here's a treat. Good job. Here's your payment. She is a lot cheaper than Blake. Imagine that. Um, so to talk about the bad or talk about the good first of the F1 movie, I really like that it's a movie that everyone can go see. I want more of those movies. I mean, not more of those movies. They're already the main thing, but it's a movie that everyone can see, and I think everyone will take away something that they really liked about it, whether it be the racing or the whole movie in general. So I like that a lot. Again, the racing stood out to me as the best thing. Sorry, Lucy sitting on my chest really messed me up. Um, Anyways, that stood out to me the most. The racing did. It felt like it is what they did, which is take the cameras that they used in Top Gun and just put them in an F1 car. So I really like that. I really like Brad Pitt. Honestly, overall, it's hard to not like Brad Pitt if you um but I also like that it can really go into the category of a good sports movie as well. Now let's get into the bad. The bad is, for me, it was at least that I did not care about a lot of characters outside of the racing. A lot of big jumps to take in the way of believability, right out the gate. Like Brad Pitt couldn't have just like his character couldn't have just started in F1. I know he's got some history there, but I've already seen breakdowns of like he could not have done it without going through the whole situation again. And so, yeah, that was a pretty big, even me as a casual F1 fan, like that was a pretty hard pill to, I don't even think I quote unquote swallowed it throughout the whole film. That was always in my head. I was like, he couldn't be here. I don't know how he's here. Um, I kind of laughed at the beginning Daytona race. Like, I don't know, it's just a bit much. I would maybe need to see it again to have a full on useless opinion on it, but, uh, yeah, to get into like my little gripes is that they also one of my pet peeves about racing movies, being a racing fan and a film lover, is that like in films they will just it almost feels like they have to do it at times where it's like, oh, he just suddenly is faster. They suddenly have extra gears. They suddenly they don't have to hold back anymore. And I get it, and like you don't have a lot of time to explain stuff, but like it's just a gripe for me. It's like that's kind of sets an unrealistic expectations. And to note on the good, I will say, I'm not a huge F1 fan. I'm a casual fan, if that. Um, to see, from what I understand, the atmosphere that they created was pretty realistic of how they like the internal meetings and just all that stuff. I'm not quite sure in the sense of team size. If that's really how big they are, that's insane. But um, yeah, I thought that aspect of it was really cool and how they represented that. So that was a really cool. But I mean, literally the whole movie for me, like it was fine. But like I walked out at one point to use the restroom and to refill my drink, and I came back in, and my friend who was there, who is actually not a racing fan, he found the racing stuff to be quite cool. I'll add that in. But like I came in, sat down, and I didn't even really think to ask him like, "Hey, did anything happen while I was gone?" Because I just when I we kept watching, and I was like, "Oh, I'll ask if I have to," and never felt like I had to. So. Um, that's me. If I was to, I'm not going to get too far into any sort of film criticism. I'm not a film critic by any means, but like, um, yeah, I don't know. It was a good movie. I like that it advanced the racing aspect of movies and the way of how they can do it. I hope that that's an approach they take more often. If you're curious, my favorite racing movie is Ford v Ferrari. I love it. It's a great movie. I have some gripes with it, but overall, like it's my favorite. So let's jump into it now. Get away. All right, Sonoma in the books. Another SVG weekend is what we're going to call it. Except for the Xfinity race, obviously he didn't win if you watched it. Um, that's kind of what I want to talk about in a second, but let's get to the scheme shoutouts real quick. The number two car was really good until it wasn't. Uh, yeah, really cool scheme. Liked it. Clean, dark. And its brother slash maybe even just cousin would be the nine car. Yeah, like same colors, but just felt like they were brothers in a way. But I liked it. And then the last car or last scheme I'll shout out would be the 48. It really grew on me. Really liked it. Um, yeah, nothing huge to really talk about with either race, but the Xfinity race, one thing that I was really enjoying was to watch the Battle of the Future is kind of what I was calling it. At least the future of road course racing, which with Zillich and SVG. It was really refreshing to watch them. It felt like they were fighting at the top of the mountain, and everybody else was like climbing the mountain still. Uh, I mean, given that they finished over 13 seconds ahead of P3 by the end, I would definitely say that they were on their own island while the ships were still on the way there. Um, it's kind of insane that that's what it was, but yeah, these are not weeks like these road course weeks right now, at least the past three, have not been, I feel like, a great representation of NASCAR. It may be a hot take if it is. Oh well, but yeah, SVG and Zillich now have really shown that there is a huge gap, like I said last week, for NASCAR drivers to catch up on, or the traditional NASCAR drivers to catch up on. And there's a huge gap for both of them. And Zillich is getting it more than SVG, but like there still is a huge gap for them on the ovals. Um, so there's there's that give and take, but yeah, I think as SVG and Zillich need to get better on the ovals, the traditional NASCAR drivers definitely need to get better on uh, the road courses. I think in a way we've been almost blind to how vulnerable NASCAR's diversity is when it comes to road courses and like how good they actually are. Um, that's one thing I see when there's been a lot of talk of Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart and how they would rack up in the sense of road course racing now. And I truly don't know. I don't think it's a question to ponder too much, really, to be honest. They were great for their time, but that's the thing. Times are very different now, in the sense of road course and street racing. So to finish up the Xfinity talk, the last two laps were fantastic. Loved it. I can't wait to see more of that. I wanted to see that in Chicago. I can't wait to see more of that in the future. Um, Maybe we'll see it again at Watkins Glen. But yeah, Zillich and SVG are really showing the talent gap that there is. SVG is the best loser in the field at any race right now. Like I love it when he wins and I love it when he loses because his interviews are just so just they're just so nice. He's a nice guy. I want to shake his hand. Um, yeah, he's a fun character to come in. I am also fatigued on this SVG dominance, but like I can't say that I don't enjoy like him just being a kind of a positive guy in an interview. He doesn't have to be here in NASCAR, so like he kind of has a bit less of a stress in that way of like being upset with other drivers. I don't know. He doesn't have, I feel like, the same vibe as the other drivers when it comes to um, how he finishes a race and stuff like that. So, to wrap it up on the Xfinity race, let's look at the top 10. The top 10, third place is the first one I want to really talk about. William Sawalich, he really impressed, I feel like, this weekend to put a whole race together, to qualify fifth, to finish third. It's probably his best race yet. Um, Nick Sanchez is someone I don't really think about as a road course racer. I don't know necessarily why. Maybe it's just his wins coming at super speedways is why, but yeah, he kind of surprised me finishing fourth. He qualified 23rd to come back and finish fourth. Quite a positive day for him. The next one, Taylor Gray. He qualified 11th. I can't remember if he got sent to the back for something, but he still came back to finish seventh. It's a good day for him. And Carson Quaffle, like Nick Sanchez, I don't think of him as a road course racer. I think of him as short track racing. And so to see him finish eighth, I don't know why I'm surprised. I know he's had good finishes or at least good runs at sorry, at road courses before, but like every time so far, I'm like, oh, that's surprising. So let's move on to the cup race. There's not, again, I don't have much to talk about on the cup race, but to just get over with the scheme shoutouts, it's just the 42 and the 9 this week. The 16 was one, I don't know my credentials for it being a scheme shoutout. I think I just have to really like it. But the 16 just wasn't there for me. Just wasn't quite there. But the 42 and the 9 were. The 9 being the all white Napa. I don't think since we started this podcast he's run it since, or at least in a way of shouting it out. Maybe it didn't make the cut, but yeah. To get into the actual race though, SVG wins, and he did his SVG thing, and it's just so it's not surprising really. But I think what was surprising was how much he won by, not in the sense of seconds, but like anytime somebody really got close to him, it just seemed like hey, there she is. Welcome back. Um, yeah, he would go back into his reserves and just turn it back on. And it just felt like he wasn't driving as hard as he was in Xfinity. So there wasn't a Zillage up there keeping him honest. And so, yeah, that's sound like a broken record, but I want NASCAR drivers to really focus on closing this gap at road course races. And I think we will get there. There's Reddicks, there's McDowell's, there's Elliott's, there's Briscoe's now. There's even Bell and Gibbs or definitely Gibbs, but Bell and Larson are kind of on the same level of road courses in my opinion. But Kyle Busch, he's quiet on these road courses. Not at Coda, but like recently, he's fairly quiet. We didn't quite see his potential at Mexico City, given that he just wiped out. But there are NASCAR drivers who are good enough to improve their road course racing. I don't know to be better than Shane Van Gisbergen, but to at least challenge him for a longer period of time. SVG has so much experience that I don't think it's any experienced veteran nowadays will catch up to him. And I mean veteran by I don't know if I'd put William Byron at veteran status yet, like Kyle Busch would be, but like William Byron, does he have the longevity to be better than SVG? I don't know. But does he have the ability to at least improve to where SVG becomes more and more vulnerable? And that's what I like about this chapter of NASCAR with SVG is that SVG is now pulling and pushing these NASCAR drivers to be better, and that's a good thing. It's gonna be annoying, um, when as he's going to continue to win. He's probably gonna end his NASCAR career stint as the best road course racer, and maybe never winning on an oval, maybe getting better, but like maybe never winning unless it's like a fluke win. Maybe that's kind of where I'm at with him. Um, as he won't dominate ovals, he will probably always dominate and be a big factor in road courses until he's done. And that's just given the fact that, you know, that he's just raced road course and street courses his whole career. And so NASCAR is unique in that way that it's mostly ovals. But I definitely think, and this will be a topic later, that NASCAR needs to, um, as it needs its road course races, it needs to upgrade its skills here. So to kind of again, I just don't really have much to talk about when it comes to the Cup race. It was pretty straightforward. As a Larson fan, kind of frustrating. As an Elliott fan, very hopeful and very like happy to see him run back through there. I think he definitely could have gotten second. I don't know if he would have. Again, SVG was just playing with the pack, it seemed like. But yeah, I don't know if he would have gotten up there and taken first necessarily. But if if he didn't have that mistake there at the closing laps, yeah, I think he at least would have gotten second. Um, so to look at the top 10, um, yeah, the only people I can really shout out would be Elliott with that charge at the end. McDowell, he is someone that has climbed back up my ranks of road course racers, which is weird to say. Was considered and still is considered NASCAR's one of NASCAR's road course specialists. Yeah, I kind of underdog him every week or overrate him. I don't know. He's just not really on my radar. But yeah, one person that's not in the top 10 that I feel bad for is AJ Allmendinger. Just never really recovered from his at least to get back into the positions he was running in. Never really recovered after from his spin. The one thing I want to talk about with the cup racing is they kept it clean at the end. And I was happy to see it. I can't say the toxic fan in me was like, somebody wrecked this guy. I can't say I wasn't thinking that, but I think when the dust cleared, it was like, okay, at least we kept it clean. It gives keeping it clean in these moments of potential desperation and frustration kind of gives credibility to NASCAR drivers that they can stay mature when they are at this loss. And credit to Chase Briscoe and all the people who were right there on the restarts to just keep it clean, race him clean, because SVG will race you clean if you race him clean, and he's not a dirty driver by any means, at least that I think. I can't put him as a dirty driver. There have been questionable moves, but yes, he's not. He's not predictably a dirty driver. So I like that we kept it clean to keep the respectability, and to keep that to better the image of NASCAR racing. Because I think people look at NASCAR as like they can just wreck if they wanted to. Like they can do so much with their cars. They can't get that aggressive in F1 or even IndyCar without just ruining your day. Whereas NASCAR has a bit of a leniency with their product. So yeah, I want to just give credit to that. I think that was a really good look by the end. Because I've preached this before, but just because somebody's dominating isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing. Like I said, I think this SVG dominance has been a good thing, but to keep it clean, to let him finish the race with the dominance that he had, I think overall it's just the better attitude is to say, all right, we're gonna go and we're gonna watch this play, or we're gonna watch this back. We're gonna see what we can. We're gonna study what we can, and we're gonna get better where we can. Is the route to go rather than just relying on a late race restart to wreck it, because then it just becomes a bit too gimmicky, a bit too. Uh, it really just takes away credibility, in my opinion. It's fun to watch, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you kind of look at those races and look back and you're like, I don't know if that person deserved to win just because they sent it into the turn and took out the person who had been dominating all day. It's not it's not the kind of racing that I think NASCAR should promote and to have every week. So yeah, that wraps up the Cup race. One thing I want to comment on is TNT. My goodness, they need to get their act together. Um, Yeah, I would not consider them any better than Fox right now. They started at like Atlanta was a fun race, honestly. I thought they did a pretty good job at Atlanta, particularly with I mentioned that their camera angles were actually pretty cool, pretty refreshing in that sense. But I have not seen that since. It's not been the same track since. I'm curious to see what Toro will be like. I'll say that. But other than that, though, I just feel like they weren't all on the same page. The communication may have been lacking. I'm not going to go too far. I don't know much about broadcasting, but like just TNT has shown their weakness, and hopefully they get better. I just don't know why I don't get their system, particularly in post race. I don't get their system. It was kind of an awkward week. There was a very awkward Tyler Reddick interview. Um, yeah, just a weird week for them. And bad week last week, weird week this week. Hopefully Dover they clean stuff up, but let's just get into kind of a question I want to talk about, which I've already touched on a little bit, but I ask, how should NASCAR handle street slash road course races? And they are definitely needed. I am not someone saying we need them less, nor do I think we need them more. I think 6 to 7 is a good number. Back to back will be a fatiguing feeling for a NASCAR fan, especially with someone like SVG being in the picture. Like I was kind of annoyed going in. Someone's like, okay, like it's just gonna be a lot of SVG talk. We already know. What kind of annoys me about SVG, if I had to say anything, is that he's so good on road courses, but it just kind of really it just really shows on the ovals that he's not that great there, and ovals are the majority. And so you don't hear about SVG for most of the year, and the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks have just been SVG, 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 and then we're gonna go into a stretch where we're not gonna hear about him anymore. And so it's a bit frustrating in that way because he's now 3 wins. He's tied with the most wins for with what, four or three other drivers, and he's got a good spot in the playoffs where it's like I don't think it's going to be a huge factor. There is a good chance he can get to the round of eight, but that's it. That's his ceiling in my opinion. I just don't see him going terribly far. I would be surprised by round of eight. I wouldn't be shocked though, with just the Roval being right there. But again, like it's just to me, it kind of discredits NASCAR system a bit. Um, I don't, I'm not going to complain about this too much because I don't really have a solution either. I think we need to definitely be supportive of those people who are very good at, with NASCAR wanting a very diverse schedule, you need to support who are good at these sort of tracks. A Logano, a Keselowski are always going to be good at super speedways, no matter what, if you call it luck or whatever. So is Hamlin. They just have a natural talent for that style of racing, as they also do with intermediates. Kyle Larson has been a bit of the intermediate king in the recent years. Um, so as other people, like he's not a standout, I won't say, but like there's people that are standouts at certain tracks and certain styles of racing, and they need to be promoted. NASCAR just needs to figure out their system and refine their system a bit more to where it's like when these specialists just come in and win at these ones at this one particular type of racing, but your playoffs only have one of those tracks in there. Like it's just not. It feels a bit like a wasted spot at the end of the day. SVG has proved that he's good at a certain style of racing, but unfortunately, it's not the popular style. So it's whatever at this point. Like, there's not going to be any immediate change, I feel like, but hopefully there is some tweaks in the future, and we can, I am a supporter of the idea of like there is a like if you're 30th in points and get a win, you don't belong in the playoffs. You don't. It just shows you haven't been good this season. Um, but yeah, I support like a 25th and below kind of deal, like the max being 25th. I like that a lot. But as to really look at the question of handling road courses and street courses, the street courses, I love the idea of them being what you take to the fans. It's an expensive race, so I don't know what the long run practicality of it is. There's a lot of logistics, I feel like that, with it being a movable event. But I really do like the idea of it. I hope they come to San Diego. As I said before, I'm in Southern California. I would go to that race. I wanted to go to Chicago this past year, but something like San Diego is great because it really doesn't rain out here. It really doesn't. I delayed changing my windshield wipers because it just really doesn't rain out here. Um, so it could be a great race. I think the visuals will be matching to Chicago. It's a great city too. So I think there's a lot of good in that. And as for NASCAR and road course races, bring back Road of America. That's a great fan base up there. I don't know why, you know, no, I don't know why to finish that statement. I don't know why they took it away necessarily, but yeah, road courses are needed. Road courses are part of the diverse schedule that NASCAR can brag about, that no other series can. Like IndyCar gets can brag about their diverse schedule because they also go on ovals and stuff. I think Iowa's just their doubleheader at Iowa's this past weekend, and so I think stuff like that is great. That is a my favorite style of a racing series is when they have a diverse schedule that you can see this various talent. But obviously, it leaves you vulnerable to Shane Van Gisbergen's of the world to come in and just beat beat the crap out of these drivers, and show them where they need to improve. So good and bad. Um, Definitely needed though. It's necessary no matter how you look at it. So, um, yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. But let's go into Dover and its predictions. I'm looking forward to Dover. I don't ever remember a Dover race really, even if my driver does win. But I just like the track. It's a cool track. It's very unique and very fast, which is really cool. So my predictions for Xfinity, Ryan Truex is in it. It almost feels like my wild card because if he was with Gibbs in a Gibbs car, I'd be like, oh, he's the winner. But he's not. He's with Jordan Anderson, I think. So that reason, it makes me a bit iffy, but I'm gonna go Ryan Truex. I want to say Allgaier's been kind of the concrete king, so I wouldn't be surprised if he won. But Ryan Truex, I just feel like he has a feel for this track that no other driver has, and he can just come in and almost almost be like a Shane Van Gisbergen in the way that he just comes in and at this one particular track and does really well at. Um, as for the Cup side, I don't know why, but Ross Chastain sticks out in my head. I don't have any reason. I'm not someone to bring in stats to my picks, really. Um, but he's good. I don't really have a wild card idea for that, but yeah, I think Chastain's a good pick for this weekend. I don't know why. Just a feeling right here in my heart. Isn't that right, Blake? Oh, wait, I'm alone. Um, but that wraps it up for this week. If you're listening on the audio, you should probably go check the first part of this out on YouTube because there's a very cute dog in the beginning. Um, but thank you for listening either way. Hopefully we can get a pop and top in soon. We're trying to put that together, hopefully for next week. But thanks for listening either way. Stick around and we'll see you next time.
10 away. 5, 4,